Hey, how's it going? Perry Power here, and if you are watching this video, that is because it's been sent to you by the universe, by the algorithms, okay? But I like to say the universe for a reason. Now, I don't know about you, but 2025 needs to be, will be, has to be the year of massive change and massive progress. Now, we're all at different levels, we're all at different frequencies, we've all got different goals. However, the one thing that is very, very much the same across all of us is that we do want to continue moving forward to be the best version of ourselves. We want to be a better version of ourselves to the version of us in 2024, a better version 2023. And it's not coming from a negative place. It's not necessarily coming from a lack of, I'm very happy with who I am now. However, I know that I want to step into the shoes of the 2.0 version of me. Okay, and I'm happy with that. Now, the reason I'm bringing all this up is because there needs to be a massive catalyst of change for you in your life when it comes to healing. Now, you've probably been through some type of trauma. You've probably been through traumatic events in your life, and maybe you're living in silence, maybe you're not. Chances are you are living in silence. Maybe you might have told one person, maybe two people, but you're still living in silence about it. That's probably because of the shame. It's probably because of the fear of being seen, the fear of rejection, the fear of criticism, the fear of people just knowing, the fear of the external world mirroring the internal world that you have, that not too nice self-talk that you've got going on, the self-sabotage. But this year has to be the year of change. This year, because look, if it's not, you're going to be going into 2026 the same as how you was last year and the year before. Like, you have to put your foot down and demand a change. Okay? Now, how do we do that? Right? Because like, well, Perry, if it was that easy to find healing, if it was that easy to change my life, if it was that easy to let go, then surely I could have done it already. Now, here's the thing. It's simple, but it's not easy. Once you know the process, then you're like, okay, cool, I know the process. But even then, it's still not easy. Implementation is very difficult to do. Otherwise, we would never have things on our to-do list longer than 24 hours. Like, we would just be a pro at doing anything and everything at light speed. That's just not the case. Like, I've sort of things on my to-do list that I've been wanting to do for ages, years, and I haven't done it yet. We're all human, okay? But when it comes to something so big as finding healing, which is us, like if we aren't finding that healing, then we are just going to be a version of ourselves that is very, very much in pain, very much a wounded animal. And if we're approaching life from that place, what do you think is going to happen? If we know that from the universe gives us more of what we already are, and we're approaching life from this wounded place, from a place of pain, we're just going to get more of that. We're going to get more of that. That's why people are like, why do I keep on attracting the same toxic partners? Because there's a part of you that hasn't been, like, you're not aware of that part of you that needs attention and needs a light shined onto it. Because once you can sort that part of you out, then you're going to be able to see the flags in those people that you're attracting so early on, and eventually you'll never be dating another arsehole again. Yeah? Okay, because you repel them. The universe is no longer going to give you that type of person. You see? The universe gives you more of what you're putting out there. The issue is, though, is that what we're putting out there and how we're showing up, the most of it is actually coming from our subconscious. Most of it is coming from our aura, from our cologne, our perfume, right? That we can't smell, but the world is very much, the universe is very much aware of it. And everything is a mirror. I'm telling you now, everything in this world is a mirror. And every single day, it still just amazes me how much of a mirror it truly is. Okay, because a lot of it is subconscious. So anyway, moving forward, when it comes to healing, how are you going to find this healing? How is 2025 going to be the year for you where shit actually finally makes a change? Okay, so number one, there's three things here today. Number one is that you need to make a commitment, and this one will be scary because, you know, if we've been through trauma, we're people pleasers, okay? But you have to start saying no, and you have to put yourself first. Because when it comes to doing healing, you need to put yourself first in order to set the time aside to do this. Okay, like if you want to go see a therapist, that requires time. And if you're putting people before you, your kids, your loved ones, you know, the community, whatever it is, you can't do both, right? You have to make sacrifices. And leading up to this point, all the sacrifices have been you. And that can't continue. It just cannot continue. As soon as you respect yourself, that's when people will start respecting you. Always remember that. If you don't respect yourself, again, it comes back to mirroring. If you don't respect yourself, people use you. They use your goodwill. They use your good gestures. They use that good heart that you wear on your sleeve. They use you. Intentionally or not, they use you. I know this all too well. You have to put yourself first. So the first thing is saying, okay, universe, okay, inside of our community, we do something called an acceptance letter. And what this acceptance letter is basically looking at the universe, looking at this future version of yourself that's already living the life that you want to live. If you close your eyes, if you dream about it, if you take away the pain, if you take away the traumas, if you take away the heaviness, if you take away the shame, all of the burdens, and we replace that with love, we replace that with money, we replace that with freedom, we replace that with family, with wealth, health, everything, whatever that image is for you, okay? That version of you is already out there, it's already living, it already exists, okay? And what you do is you're writing a letter to accept where you currently are at, to accept your flaws, to thank that future version of you, to making the sacrifices, to making the changes, to have gotten to live that life, and then telling them, I'm now coming your way. It's my time to get to you, okay? So we do this acceptance letter, which just is huge for everyone that does it in our program, right? Feel free to do that. Intuitively sit down and just write a letter to that higher self of you that's already living that life. Trust me, it's a powerful, powerful exercise, okay? But you have to put yourself first. That's number one, okay? It's telling the universe, writing this letter, it's telling the universe, okay, I am ready to make whatever sacrifices I need to make to put myself first, to put one step forward in front of the other, and to claim the life that I want to live, whatever that looks like. That's number one, okay? Number two. Now, when it comes to number two, it's difficult, this one, okay? But when it comes to number two, it's being aware that it's okay to be seen. It's okay to be heard. It's okay to be misjudged. It's okay to have people's opinions be whatever they be, and accepting that all of that is out of your control, and accepting that all that is within your control is your story, is your power, is your voice, is your truth. That's what's within your control. And that right there is what we need to start to accept, is accepting what's within our control, and accepting what's outside of our control is outside of our control, and we need to let go of it, okay? So that all comes down to the fear of being seen, which a lot of us have. But one is understanding that is a thing, okay? It's actually understanding that the fear of being seen, okay, cool, we've labeled it. I have a fear of being seen. I have a fear of people hearing my story. I have a fear of what that person is going to say. All of that is outside your control. And it's just one acknowledging that and then being like, okay, all of that's outside my control. Moving forward, then people might say things, people might not. But that's out of my control. I am doing this because of X, Y, and Z. I am moving forward with my healing, with my story, because it's my story, because it's my truth, because what's within my control is the fact that that happened. I know, I believe me. I don't care if Tom, Dick, and Harry don't believe me. I believe me, okay? And this number two right here is quite big. It's quite dense because there's a lot to it. Another one that just come to me here is family opinions. There's a huge thing why we stay silent. Now, the issue with family opinions is that they got a big hold over us. It makes sense. They're our family. They're our parents. Okay, they're our aunt and uncle. They're our grandparents. They're our siblings. And especially if we come from like a Asian, South Asian culture, a society, a background where silence and what happens in a family stays within a family so integral, so important within those societal backgrounds. That is even more of a reason. Like, we've got people in our program that comes from no type of backgrounds. You know, we've got a woman from an Indian background who's writing her story. We've got someone from a Pakistani background who is writing his story. We were just about to publish his book, right? It's not just the abuse that they've gone through, but it's also the silence that is really being forced upon them, because you don't do that where we're from, you know? And it's kind of like you're going against the very group of people that brought you into this world. You're going against your tribe. You know, and if we go back to caveman days and how our brains are wired for safety, is you stay within the tribe. As soon as you step outside of that tribe, there's bears, there's wolves, you're going to die, right? You don't go out on your own. So your brain does whatever it can to make you stay safe. And I understand that. However, look at your experience. Look at the facts. Cool, you might be safe because you've got a roof over your head and you've got your family coming around and they got you, blowing up your phone. But beneath all of that, they want your silence. That's not on. Because it's not just as simple as stay silent. When we're living in silence, okay, there is a poison. There is a toxicity that's growing within us. All you got to do is read The Body Keeps the Score. And not just that book, it's a whole shit ton of books, studies, everything that shows you that that shit manifests to actual real life health implications. It's not just staying silent, okay? And if I'm gonna not sugarcoat this, basically what it is, okay, you want me to stay silent? Just so you know, mum, dad, just so you know, you're basically saying that you are okay with me having a much shorter lifespan and a painful lifespan. My dad died when he was 47 years old. Heart attack. He was a diabetic, high blood pressure, became very, very negative. He had a rough way out. 47. Okay? I know this shit too well. I know what can happen when you stay in silence. And a lot of the times it's the family that is inflicting that upon us. So that comes back into number 2, which is that shame, right? We got the word shame, the label shame, but what comes underneath it? Societal, yes. Cultures, family. The biggest one, arguably. We do have the abuser. We've got some people in our community which is, but my abuser might kill me, quite literally. I get that. There's always going to be exceptions, and when it comes to those types of things, there will need to be a slight different conversation had. Okay, but if I'm talking to the vast majority, it's your mum and dad aren't probably going to kill you if you speak out. The worst thing that will probably happen was that they will shun you from the family. And the way that I look at it is, if that's what they would end up doing, they shouldn't be a fucking family in the first place. If you don't come from a supportive family, you need to make sure that a supportive family comes from you instead. Okay? And I know it's like, well, I'm going to be out on my own. And, if you look, there are supportive communities. If you look ours, we've got 71 people and growing inside of our community. We are all each other's adopted family, and we got each other's backs. All trauma survivors, not just sexual abuse, any types of trauma. We've got each other's backs. So if you look, again, the universe will give you more of what you already are. If you've dropped the weight and you're living your truth, and you're like, I would love a community, you will find it like that, because that's what the universe will show you. What you focus on grows. I say this all the time. What you focus on grows. Okay? So that's number 2, which basically is about the fear of being seen, being aware of that label, and starting to practice these different things that fall under the fear of being seen, the family opinions, and actually exercising, like being curious, okay, what would that look like if I was to speak out? What would my family possibly do? And, okay, if they do that, if I were to speak out, what does that say about them? Not what does that say about me? What does that say about them? If some stranger on social media says, you're lying, who the fuck are they? Who cares about them? You know you're not lying, And really start to give like some good answers to these. And what you will notice is that it won't just go, but you're starting to, with all these questions you don't have answers for, you will start to have some really good answers for them. Okay, when you actually sit there and think about it. And then number 3, is this. Books, okay? Stack of 20 books and growing. Number 3 is the best way that you can find healing in 2025 is writing your story, okay? Writing your story is the best thing that you can do for your healing. And I'm not preaching, I'm not talking bullshit here. I am telling you the fucking truth that if you want to find transformational healing, then it is writing your story. Now, we work with tons of trauma survivors, and let me give you some examples here, because I need to show you guys some examples, just in case you're thinking, well, I can't write my story because of this. If you think you're too old, like, oh, what's the point? I've lived in silence for so long, what's the point? Kathy here, she joined us when she was 72 years old, and she published her book. 72. She went through abuse when she was a child. One of the biggest reasons why she stayed silent all of that time, her whole life, was because of her family. She got to a point where she was like, fuck you and fuck this, I am doing it. Because if I've got now a limited time on this planet now, in my 70s, I want to make sure I'm living. I need to bring my youth back, right? I'm so fucking proud of it. I'm proud of everyone here. But I couldn't even imagine what it'd be like to get to my 70s and still living in silence. And then decide it's time to break my silence. Like, she's an inspiration. So, 72 years old, right? Tanya, okay? Great book, beautiful story, so fucking inspirational. But before she started writing a story, she was on depression medication. She had panic attacks. She hardly left her house. She started writing her story. And now she's on her lowest dose of depression meds. She leaves the house. She came over to England, and we met up for the first time in England, in London 2 months ago, I think it was. And she was shit scared about coming on public transport, but she's still done it, okay? Just amazing. Bonnie. Actually, another thing here, people say, well, I don't know, like, my book might be too big or it might be too small. We got here Michael's book, a great fucking book, but a huge book, okay? It's like 500 pages. Well, yeah. Nearly 500 pages this book is. Doesn't matter how big your book is. And when it comes to how thin your book is going to be, look at this. Deborah. It's like a pamphlet. It's too skinny to even put anything on a spine. The same as Bonnie's here. Okay? Can't put anything on a spine. It doesn't matter how big your book is. All that matters is you getting your truth down on paper, because with each page that you write, you start to take ownership of the story that you've been running away from your entire fucking life. That is why writing your story will transform everything. It's taking ownership, it's finding your voice, and it's standing within your power. And then once you've done your book, then you'll realize the potential that your book can have to help other people. And then that's when we bring in the added benefit of living a life with purpose, knowing that your story, your truth, your voice can actually help inspire other people out there. Now, Bonnie here, she was with a counselor for over 10 years. And when she joined, she said that writing her story brought on more healing than any of her counseling. Okay? And actually, the guy that I said we were working with earlier from Pakistan, about to publish his book now, he is a psychotherapist. He's a psychotherapist, and he had his own therapist. And he said that writing his book brought him more healing than the therapy that he went through, and he left his therapist because he didn't need it anymore. I'm telling you now that writing your story, you don't need to be a writer. None of these guys here, none of these guys are writers. They're just people with a story to tell. Again, you don't need to publish it if you don't want to, okay? But I'm telling you now that if you start your journey of writing in 2025, entering 2026, you're going to be a completely different person. And that, if you stick with it, is a guarantee, okay? Now, can you write your story on your own? Yes. There's a high chance that you won't get through to the end. The reason why I say that is because it is difficult. It's a difficult thing to do. I don't need to tell you that. You know that already. Writing your story will be difficult to do. And if you're doing it on your own, okay, those fears, that safety in here will try its very best to stop you. You got the kids, you got the dinners, you got this, you got that. Life gets in the way. Oh, and then all of a sudden 3 months goes down and you haven't continued your writing. Inside of our community, we have 3 calls a week Monday call I lead is a big group call. We all come on, we do Q&As, I ask for people's goals, we set intentions for the week. Wednesdays and Fridays calls I don't lead. That's a community-led call. People come on if they need the support. You can talk to other people in the community. You can use that as writing time. And these calls aren't compulsory. However, I do say that the Monday call is compulsory because it is your anchor. It anchors you in every single week to stay on track and do this, okay? But you have the calls, you get matched up with an accountability partner. So you have an accountability partner that you depend on, they depend on you, right? You have the WhatsApp group, you got our community forum platform. Like, we got you covered in every single way to make sure that you stay on track and you don't fall off. That right there, in addition with our video course where you can, it's all self-paced with all of the worksheets, everything that you need step by step to go from having a blank page to, I've got a big story, I don't know where to go with it, like, you know, puzzle pieces fucking scattered everywhere. We basically help you with, okay, let's bring these pieces all together, right? And then as you go through the process, naturally, as a byproduct, you start to see that picture forming. Then that's when you're like, shit, whoa, I managed to get through all of that and I'm here today. Holy shit, right? That's what my message is. That's my purpose. And then you get to the end of it and you've got a book in your hand, tangible, something that you're fucking proud of. I'm telling you now, guys, I'm telling you that if you just say, you know what, I don't know, it just scares the shit out. Here's the thing. People say, but it's going to be difficult to do. Yes, but you know what's more difficult? Living a fucking life sentence in silence. That is a difficult thing, and that is not what you should tolerate, okay? We've got to fucking level up our standards and say, I demand more out of myself, I demand more out of life, and I'm going to go and get it. And that first step, the chain reaction, the snowball for everything is writing your book, whether you want to publish it or not. And I say that a lot because the idea of publishing can scare the shit out of people and will make them not start. And if that sounds like you, forget the publishing. You don't need to do it, okay? When you join our community at the moment until February the 1st, so February the 1st is $97 a month. But for right now, it's $47 a month. So you can get in at a 50% discount. If you get in by the end of this month, you lock in the forever price of $47 a month. But if you join from the 1st of next month, it's $97. That is still cheap as shit for what you're getting, trust me, right? And in there, we will teach you how to get to the point of having a first draft of your book, okay? And then if you then want to publish a book, then you can upgrade to our publishing program, our publishing package, where we can then put that all together and professionally publish a book under Powerful Books, okay? But that doesn't need to be a decision that you need to make right now. That can be a decision that you can make in 3 or 6 months' time. The decision that you need to make right now is, are you ready to find the healing that you deserve? If so, the answer to that is right in your story. I promise you, this year will be the most healing year you've ever fucking experienced if you make the decision to do this. Okay? That was number 3, okay, out of those 3 steps. So the universe sent you this video for a reason, because it's time to find the healing that you deserve. Okay? As far as I'm concerned, the hand that you were dealt, the life that you were given, that is what makes you a hero. But now it's time to create a new life for yourself. Let's get it. Be powerful.